Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again to Edge of Reality TV. I'm Willie Hassel, along with the lovely Lynn Nickerson.
Good evening, Willie.
Good evening, and how are you doing tonight?
Terrific, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Pretty good, you know. I can't complain. If I
Nobody's
did, would you care?
No, nobody would listen. But
Nobody
I'd
would
care.
listen. You know, you'd care.
I'd still care.
Well, that's all that matters, as long as you care. So here we are again, episode. I don't know if you want to call this episode 14
2B.
or episode 2. 2B, okay.
2B.
All right. And once again, we have a great guest here in the studio with us.
Yes.
We have David Childers. David is a paranormal investigator, photographer, and actor. He is the founder of Mississippi Paranormal Research Institute, and David has been featured on Travel Channel's Paranormal 911, Haunted Hospitals, Most Terrifying Places in America, Ghost Adventures, as well as Destination America's Ghost Asylum, and many more shows. Actually, his bio is about 2 pages long. But
Well, he's well connected.
That would take half the show. So
He's well connected, and he does get around.
he does get around. So welcome to the show, David.
Welcome,
It's
Dave.
great
Nice
to
to
have you
see
here.
you. It's
Yeah, I
a
appreciate
pleasure.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate inviting me on here. I mean, I'm definitely excited.
Oh, yeah. We're pleased
Hey,
to have you here.
Yeah, we're pleased. I mean, as you know, last month was our premiere show, and we had hoped to get you on for the first show, but unfortunately.
Yeah.
But hey, here you are
We
now.
squeezed you
So
in.
It's all good. It's all good.
So we wanted to get an idea of how you got involved. I mean, you've been on all these different shows and so forth. So what was the inception of your interest in the paranormal?
Oh, man. I think I was like 12 or 13 years old that I actually had my first experience. But I've always been interested in it because I love the horror movies, the scary stories, this and that. And I just, I was 13 years old, 12 or 13, and I just got through watching Crocodile Dundee. And went outside and I put snakeskin boots on. I dressed up like Crocodile Dundee and actually made a little Bowie knife out of wood. And went outside, it was dusk, and see, keep in mind, my grandparents' property was also Civil War battleground. It's in Vicksburg, Mississippi. It's like one of the biggest, Civil Wars, battles of the Civil War. And I was out there and it was dusk, and I just happened to look over at the wood line and I saw a full body apparition. It was a Civil War soldier, had a full beard, uniform, and all that. So I ran inside, trying to tell my dad about it. And he didn't believe me, of course. He blew everything off. But, the funny thing is about that, like 10, 15 years later, he became a member of my paranormal team. So
How ironic.
he saw his first shadow figure at Parkview Hospital in Vicksburg, and it just went from there, and he started going along with me.
That, hey, this stuff is for real.
Right, exactly.
So was that before he became part of the team?
Oh yeah, well,
So I mean, that's what
He
got,
saw the Shadow Man.
Yeah,
yeah. So
after.
that's what made him a believer and says, "Hey, I want to join you."
Or less of a skeptic, anyway.
Well,
Right.
less of a skeptic, yeah. Whatever.
So you saw a full-bodied apparition of a soldier. Have you seen another full-bodied apparition since then?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
have you really?
I've seen. I mean, it's very rare. I've probably seen, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably 7 over the
Wow.
past 21 years of being in the field. 7, and 3 of them were at the real Conjuring House.
Wow.
At the Conjuring.
I
House.
haven't
The real-
seen
yeah,
anything like
it,
that.
It was 3 of them. It was actually we were. It was filming with Stormy Daniels, one of my good
Which
friends.
I wanted to ask you about, but yeah.
Spooky Bay's Paranormal Show. That's her show, and I was a guest, a guest investigator on there. And we were investigating that house, man, and that place was
And which house was this?
the Conjuring House in
Was
Harrisville.
the Conjuring
yeah,
house?
Yeah, the real Conjuring
Oh,
House.
with
in
her.
Harris- yeah.
Okay.
And we were investigating there, and we had multiple experiences there. Like I said, plus the apparitions. I mean, it was totally intense. I really can't say a lot because, it's,
Yeah.
it's filmed. You put it that way.
Yeah.
It's for the show. So,
Well,
but it's definitely intense.
I mean, the Warrens were involved in that originally, right? The Conjuring House?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
And it
I
had something to-
No. I don't think they were with that.
Weren't they?
Warren?
Not with the
Ed
real.
and Lorraine?
They might. Well, with the real No, yeah, they were. With
They
the
were,
real,
yeah.
I'm thinking Annabelle wasn't.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. But yeah, they were involved with that. They
Yeah.
investigated that house.
Because
As did, I believe, Paul.
what?
As did, I believe, Paul Eno was in on
Right,
that too.
right. But the point I was going to make wasn't that originally it had something to do with exorcisms, therefore demonic activity?
yes.
Was that still in place when you were there? Did you find anything like that?
I mean, really, while we were there, I didn't really feel threatened by anything.
Oh, really?
I think it was mostly residual haunt, But there were some things that, yeah, of course, it was intelligent haunt, but I mean, it wasn't anything. Just in my experience, that was
So-
demonic or non-human entity or something like that.
Since you brought that up, how do you feel about demonic demons? Yes, no?
I believe in angels and demons, 100%.
Yeah.
Have a talk with Willie.
I don't like saying demonic. I usually put it as a
Highly negative, yeah.
Yeah, a negative
Negative,
spirit, and especially you don't want to sit here if you go to a client's house and say demonic, just say, hey, look, it might be a negative entity, a human, and don't say non-human, because I mean, you want your clients to you want them to feel at home. And that's why you go out there and you do it. You try to make their house feel like a home again, especially after any kind of hauntings going on.
It's
But you
very
have-
disturbing and uncanny to know that something's living with you, and that petrifies people when
Right.
you say
Yeah,
that.
and some of these teams, they go out and everywhere they go, oh, it's demonic, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I know.
Leave us alone.
It's good for TV, but I mean,
Yeah,
whenever you're dealing with the public and even other investigations that you do on the side with, just don't bring that up, man.
We're lucky in that we don't like doing residences so much, investigating, because it's people's personal private property.
Right.
But like with the James House Museum, at least no one lives there, so we can be pretty free about what we feel that we have found. And there has been some dark fog that has shown up in pictures on six different occasions. So there's something going on there, but we can't necessarily call it demonic, but something dark is hovering. So we don't really hold back anything when we talk about that and put it in our notes and whatnot. But yeah, when people are living there, it's kind of tough.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So does Stormy still have her show?
I believe so. I mean,
Really?
we really haven't talked about it.
Well, I'm really
I mean, we talk about other stuff,
yeah.
not really just that, but
I'm surprised that she has any interest in the paranormal, but then again, it's really big right now,
no,
so why not?
She's good. She really
Yeah?
is good. She has opened my eyes up to a lot of stuff. There's
Really?
investigations we went to, and she's walking into the house and she just starts go channeling. I mean, it
Wow.
just kicks in, and I mean, she's always dead accurate.
Really?
Yeah, the homeowners are like, oh my gosh, that did happen there. That did. I mean, she opened my eyes to a lot of stuff. And especially whenever she goes Scooby-Dooing.
And what does that mean?
She needs a leash.
A
'Cause
leash?
she starts picking up on stuff and gets this strong urge to go look at it and go. And
Really?
find out exactly, what's going on. And she just takes off running. but yeah, she's definitely, I think she's been doing it for a year now, or a little over a year now. But yeah, she's definitely,
Wow,
and, I mean, even tarot card readings. She is awesome at tarot card readings.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yep.
That's interesting. That's quite a revelation for me, anyway. So, the most terrifying places it was the U.S., wasn't it?
Yes, correct.
What have you found is a really terrifying location?
It was Stuckies Bridge. Stuckies Bridge.
Stuckies Bridge.
Yes, and we were actually,
Near Gettysburg?
no, it's in Mississippi.
Oh, it's in
Yeah, it's
Mississippi,
in
okay.
Mississippi. And basically, old man Stucky, he was part of the Hart brothers, which were real ruthless killers and thieves.
Really?
They actually kicked him out because he was so nasty. They kicked him out of the gang. Well, he lived by that bridge, and what he would do, he would welcome travelers. Whenever they come by, he would let them come in and eat, and they'd feed them
And
and all
then
that
he'd kill
stuff.
them and take their goods.
Well, he would kill the ones that didn't accept his hospitality, and buried them
my.
on the banks of the Chunky River. And when we went out there and we had we investigated it, and we had a couple of crazy experiences. So that's whenever production company, contacted us and was like, hey, we saw this, that. So, could you tell your story? And we went out there, told a story about that, and I think the next one was, it was the Witch of Yazoo City. The Witch of Yazoo is a real cool story. I mean, you ever heard of?
Is that the one with the gypsy?
No.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Yazoo? Yazoo City burning, Yazoo burning, or no. It's Mississippi burning, I think. It was a movie, but basically, this witch, supposedly a witch, she was labeled that. She was she basically lived down by the river, and she kept to herself, and she was labeled that. So one day the sheriff went after her because supposedly she was leading some of the people on the boats, trying, saying, feeding them and all that stuff, and then she would kill them. But we don't know. But the sheriff went after her. She ended up drowning in quicksand, and her last words were, "I'm coming back. I will get you. I will get my revenge." I think 10 years later, or you'll just have to look it up. I'm not going to be accurate on it, but the whole town, Yazoo City, burnt down. And supposedly the chains that were around her grave were broken. And it was like on the anniversary of her death.
Well.
Yep.
Wait a minute, I gotta ask you, so what was the negative part of that? I mean, it terrified you, right? That.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah, well, I mean, I really think she wasn't a witch. I think she was.
Oh, no, but as far as the hauntings or the residual energy is concerned, what happened? Can you talk about that?
Well, we didn't really experience anything. We were actually we were extras on that episode.
Okay.
Yeah, we were extras. I was the sheriff, and a couple more people were the fishermen, and we were just extras on that part.
I was just going to say, most haunted places and most terrifying places. Is that the Jason Hawes show, or is that a?
Oh no.
Oh,
Most terrifying places in America. That's on Travel Channel.
Yeah.
And that's it just tells people stories, sort of like haunted hospitals and paranormal 911.
Yeah,
and all
okay.
that
Because
stuff.
I know he did a show too with the same name.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So it's a different program. Okay.
Yeah, Most Terrifying with Jason Hawes, I believe, or something like that. I can't remember.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Well, then, I was watching some of your videos on the internet, and the Kuhn Hospital came up, of course.
Oh yeah.
And I had typed in your, Mississippi Paranormal Research Institute, and that popped up. And what it was first was a news article of June 2015 where they found a dead body in the Kuhn Hospital. Yeah. So they interviewed you, of course, because you had a connection to it. But you had a former connection. I mean, you were already familiar with it. So could you tell us about that? I mean, it's a creepy place.
Yeah, that place was very dark, put it that way, dark, and it was intense. I mean, it was pre-Civil War. Kuhn Memorial Hospital was pre-Civil War. And actually, the Sisters of Mercy used to stay there because it was built for tuberculosis outbreak, yellow fever, and it was like, that was the hospital.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up becoming caretaker of the place because the foundation, I just saw it falling down, and it was just dangerous.
And I imagine you kept people out, didn't you? Kids that wanted to go there, and homeless people.
Exactly, drug use and all that. So I put up no trespassing signs. I'd always check the place out. I'd keep an eye on it. I'd put caution tape around open elevator shafts, make sure nobody,
Good idea.
Yeah, and that place right there, I mean, I was a paranormal investigator, so I was like, that's a gold mine for me. I can go up there anytime I want. And I lived like a block away at the time. Yeah. Well, that place, we started getting a lot of activity there. I mean,
paranormal activity?
Yes, a lot of paranormal activity.
Were you actually investigating at this point? Yeah.
Well,
oh yes, absolutely. And
perfect fit.
Yeah, I know. And it just, we started getting all kinds of stuff there, and I was like, this is honey hole, this is gold mine, yes, and it got to where I started getting really obsessed with the place, which, that's why now I think I did have an attachment to the location, and I started staying away from my ex-wife now, but my wife at the time, and I started going there like every day. I backed away from all my friends at the time, and they saw a change.
You
in me.
became obsessed.
Yes. Look, I went as far as to getting a grill during the weekends. I put it on the roof. I'll sit back, drink some beer, and grill by myself
All by yourself?
on the roof.
In the rain.
Oh, yeah.
On the TV show.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. I've been there many a times during the rain, and that reminds me of a story that happened with Ghost Adventures. They filmed there, room 504. They got a lot of activity. We were there after it aired and all that, and went up to room 504, and I'm sitting here asking questions, this and that, and something just tells me to get out of there. I just had a bad gut feeling. So we walk out of there, go down to the second floor, and I'm asking questions about room 504. We got a Class A EVP of a little girl laughing. Right after that happened on the voice recorder, we hear a loud crash and bang above us. I'm thinking domino effect. The whole place, it's a whole building. So we go running outside, and I'm like, man, what was that? You know, we're trying to get everything, trying to get our wits together. Walk around the side, looked up there, room 504, the whole roof caved in. We were just in there.
It was the roof that caved in?
The roof, concrete roof caved in that one room. And it was raining real bad that day. And
Oh my
that's
gosh.
another reason I was like, man, everything's really adding together with this. Because I went to one point where I went up there. Well, now looking back, I'm putting all the pieces together. I was at my bad time, real low time, going through a divorce.
And that's not a good place to be when, yeah. 'cause
Exactly, with
They really take
negativity.
advantage of that.
Yeah, and it was, never had anything like this happen before. I went to one of the bottom floors, up there by myself. It was daytime. I was sitting there. I was upset, depressed. I was going through a divorce. Didn't have anybody to talk to because I pushed myself away from everybody. And I was more worried about that place than anything else. So I'm sitting there. I got like a little baby blanket on. I'm sitting on this nasty concrete floor, you know, just bawling my eyes out. You know, had a couple of beers, and next thing you know, it was like earmuffs. Like somebody put earmuffs on me. I didn't hear any birds. Everything was real muffled, and I got a real calming feeling. And it wasn't any voices in my head. It was like just something just hit me. It just like something was saying something, but wasn't. You know, it was like words or something. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But it's like, go up to the roof. You'll feel better up there. And I went up there, walked up to the roof, and I'm walking. I walk over to the ledge. I have no idea why. I just walked to the ledge, and I look down, and I see my truck. And
It's like you're in a trance.
right, yeah. And I'm going to get choked up. I'll go ahead and let you know, just like I did on the show. I got the same thing in my head whenever I look down, in the pain. Go ahead and end it. And I snapped out of it. It was like at least 30 seconds. I snapped out of it. Dude, what am I doing? I left there, went downstairs, got my truck, and I never went back to that place.
Honestly, you
Yeah.
never went back?
Never went back. Well, not never. It took about 6 months. I went back. And
With someone?
The only reason I did, because that's whenever Ghost Adventures came down and filmed with Zach and Aaron and the guys at the
Yeah.
hospital. I was going to be with them, and it was daytime whenever we investigated some of the stuff and did the walkthrough, so I was safe. But as soon as that was over with, as soon as we did the interview and all that stuff, I
You
left.
left.
I left, and that's Spirits Under Siege episode.
Spirits Under Siege. We'll have
Yeah,
to
it's a
remember that.
4-part episode. It's
Any
pretty cool.
idea what season that was?
Oh, no, I don't. But it's Spirits Under Siege, Vicksburg, Mississippi, Ghost Adventures. You can find it, yeah.
Yeah.
That one, yeah, it's like 4 parts. They investigated the whole town. And there's another one on there about the salon that I was able to be a part of, too, that's extremely haunted.
Did they find anything other than the crashing? Because often they pass off everything that they get for evidence. They never really say that it's haunted. Did they ever admit that maybe the Kuhn Hospital was haunted?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Good.
Absolutely. And Zach agreed about a non-human entity being there. His name was Michael. And we actually caught it on film while Zach and I were sitting here talking about Michael.
Right.
Next thing you know,
Yes.
we hear a door slam up, and
Confirmation?
Yeah, confirmation. We were talking about Michael, and as soon as that happened, me and Zach at the same time looked. We heard the door, we went up there to go check it out, and they focused on that.
Didn't Jamie get that on her recorder or on her ghost box? She was sitting down on the floor with the other woman, I don't remember her name, but the name Mike came up.
Yes, that's happened, but there's another Class A EVP of another female investigator that was with us that got Michael.
Oh, okay.
But-
it could be a different entity, it could.
Yeah, we're thinking it's the same one. It was a non-human entity, and that's the name he was going by, or it was going by.
So at that hospital, there were TB patients and there were mental patients
Yes.
too, right?
Yes, correct.
Wow, it just sounds like it was a cesspool of a lot of negative
was.
energy.
That place was horrible, and I'm glad they did tear it down.
So
And
what?
you were just plain lucky to get out of there.
Yeah, you
Yes.
were.
I mean, I went on a downward spiral, man. It was horrible. But, and see, that's what I say. You know, I would like to say to, you know, people out there getting into the field or wanting to, just starting out, don't be weekend warriors. Look around, maybe know some paranormal teams in your area, get with them, and learn some stuff before you step into a situation like that, because you never know what you're going to walk into.
No, you don't. And you should definitely at least go in pairs and not by yourself.
Correct.
And yeah, read and educate yourself as much as you can. And the other thing that should be observed, protection. You weren't into that at the time then, evidently, right? Did you feel impervious? I mean, you weren't.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about it because I was so used
Yeah.
to the place, you know? So I slipped.
Well, I got to tell you, just relative to that, not to make it about me, but I certainly empathize with what you're up against. I went to a cemetery not far from, well, it is in Nashua.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the women with me, we were there during the afternoon, and she told me that she had felt a winged creature follow her in the cemetery. You know, it was the afternoon. I didn't really feel, I felt that there were several spots that had been occupied, but there had been a Native American massacre of Native Americans there.
Really?
It was territorial and they were fighting each other. After that, two serious things happened to me. I just found out that it was within days. It was four or 5 days. I fell and I dislocated my hip. I just found out I dislocated my hip.
Oh, wow.
And the next thing that happened, it was just not quite a month later, I wound up having emergency surgery. So it was, to me, I felt dogged, like I was being dogged or chased or something. And I just really felt that something had perhaps attached. I went to see Mary Melanson, and she felt that there was an attachment, but that the negative energy took advantage of my weakened condition at the
Right.
time.
Yep.
And I didn't realize I was in sort of a low healthy state. So you got to be careful.
That was Gilson Road Cemetery.
I know I didn't want to mention it, but sure.
Okay. I don't see why we can't. It's a well-known haunted cemetery.
I know,
so.
it's just I didn't want to give it a bad rep, but where tragedy has happened, that's where you get sometimes this negative draw, and you have to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I don't think they believe that, but watch out because stuff starts happening.
Yeah. It
Very
definitely
real.
will.
So what do you do for protection now?
Well, basically, it's as simple as, well, I'll ground myself. You know, definitely take my shoes and socks off and ground myself. You know, do a little meditation. Of course, I do a prayer beforehand, do a
Good, I was
prayer
going to
afterwards.
ask if you did that.
Yeah, and definitely as soon as I come in, I say, look, you cannot follow us home.
Yep, that's good.
You're stuck
Make
on
that
this property. You cannot
command.
follow us home. And whenever we leave, we say the same thing, and that's how we take precautions.
Good. What about stones? Do you use any? You do have a lot on too, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Do you use some for protection, like maybe a little medicine bag of some kind?
Not really.
No?
Not right. I have some.
I mean,
I have them
everybody
at the house.
Has their own way, but yeah.
But yeah.
Well, you've got enough on you now. Those are lovely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Do you use any of it for the power of the stone, the
It's
properties?
just for looks.
Just for looks?
Yeah, it's just
Well,
a
they're
rock
lovely.
star look. That's all it is.
Hey,
And
when
you
you're
are.
a famous rock star, do stuff like that.
Oh my gosh.
Have you had any funny things that have happened? Investigations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never, ever put a stationary voice recorder next to a bathroom. Never do that. I learned my lesson the hard way. But I mean, yeah, that would that'd probably be like one of the funniest. Of course, we all joke and we all, have fun, this and that. And we have been scared many a times, like at the USS Salem.
Oh, tell us about that.
We were investigating. I think it was me and Chris Sanders and Kirsten and Jason and there was a couple more people, Heather and Adam, and we were investigating. And Matt Warner was in another room investigating with another person, and man, we were getting so much activity, and we didn't realize that he was in there. So we're sitting there, we're walking, and we're in the hallway, and we heard something. We heard like a door, sort of creak a little bit. It's like from here, me to y'all. And next thing you know, pow, pow, pow. He bangs on that door as loud as he could, and it scared the bejesus out of us. I mean, it scared the heck out of us. It's on video. Kyle Palmer, he got it on video. All of us just, ah! I mean, and then, even me, I screamed. It scared me. Because you don't expect
get
something like
startled.
that.
Yeah.
It was hilarious, though. And I got my wits together, and I went straight toward it, and he's on the other side of the door. I was like,
whereabouts
dude.
was that on the ship?
Huh?
Whereabouts on the ship was that?
Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, okay.
I really couldn't. It was headed toward, I think it was like a meeting room or something, but it was heading, if you're looking at the ship, it was heading toward the left side all the way to the end. But I couldn't tell you.
There's the dentist's office on the left-hand side if you're heading toward the end, and there's the
I think
and the surgery too.
Yeah. You might be talking about the CPO mess.
It might be.
Sure, but
I couldn't
it's
tell
not
you.
important. I was
Yeah,
just wondering.
I totally wasn't familiar with the place.
Well, we've got a couple more minutes left.
Yeah.
What did you come across there for evidence?
At USS Salem? Oh man, shadow figures everywhere.
Really?
There was at one point that Chris was in another room, but we could still see each other, and he saw a shadow figure. I was standing, I got a feeling, and I actually got a vision that it was there. I felt it. And I just started asking questions, and I turned around, and my back was toward the manhole. I was manhole right behind me, and Adam was right in front of me. And I was asking questions, and I was like, I mean, I'm not scared of you, you can come talk to me, this and that. And I got a real bad gut feeling. But I mean, like a scare, like something was coming up behind me.
Yeah.
It's in within doubt, get out type thing. And whenever I was feeling that, next thing you know, Adam runs over there and he grabs me and pulls me toward him. I'm like, dude, what? He was like, man, there was a shadow that manifested right behind you out of that manhole. Look, I'm getting chill bumps right now. It was so insane. It was confirmation. It wasn't nothing evil or negative, but it was something my body was like, hey, you got somebody behind you, man.
Yeah, you were reacting
type
to
thing.
it.
Because, I mean, that place is just, it's so cool. And the spirits there, they're good spirits. They just want to be acknowledged and talk to you. So, I mean, it's a great location. It's definitely a fun location.
Very active location.
Oh, yeah, it's very active. I love it.
Done some filming on the ship, and everybody on the crew had some sort of an experience, shadow figures and footsteps. And
And a lot of those people did work on the ship when it was functioning as a ship.
Yeah, we interviewed a couple of guys that one of them was stationed on the ship in the Navy back in the 50s.
Oh, wow.
And he's,
So he's part of the museum docents
Yeah.
now. So you said the manhole, what was it, the last level of the ship that it was coming up out of?
Yes.
Had there been a fire down there?
No, that was on a different ship.
Well, I thought maybe there had been a fire, like the engine room, something. I thought there had been something to do with wiring and a fire down there.
I don't believe so. At one
Didn't somebody
point,
die down there, though?
well, a number of people died.
I mean,
At
like
one
an
point,
engineer?
At one point, when the Salem was rafted alongside another ship and down, I think it was New York Navy Yard, the other ship had an explosion and a fire.
Yeah. And that isn't what I'm
And some of the people from that ship were brought onto the Salem and died on the Salem.
Yeah. Well, it could have been one of them too, I suppose.
Right, yeah.
But he definitely saw like a male type figure,
I just saw a black mass just form behind me.
a black mass.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're just about coming to the bottom of the hour here.
Yeah. Well, we got some local haunts too.
Yeah,
wanna
we'll take
talk
a little
about.
short break, and you had brought up the James house,
Yeah.
and David was did an investigation there with us
Yep.
last fall, so perhaps we can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, little local lore.
Yeah, a little local stuff.
Absolutely.
And so, Edge of Reality TV, our guest tonight is David Childers, and we will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome back to Edge of Reality TV. Willie Hassel, Lynn Nickerson, and tonight our guest is David Childers. And we've been talking about a lot of investigations and such. And before the break, we did mention that David had joined us on an investigation. Actually, we joined him. He,
That's
he
right.
invited us to join him
That's right.
on an investigation at the James House, which is in Hampton, New Hampshire. And what was your take on the house, David?
I really enjoyed it. I really did. I mean, there was some interesting stuff that happened that night. It really was. And like whenever first walked in there with you during the daytime, it was just a walkthrough.
Yeah.
Old stuff.
I was just picking up on something in the back corner. And like, our older guy, that was, sort of grumpy type thing. And
Gee, I wonder who that was.
and that's whenever you were like, Willie, you were like, yeah, that's so-so. I was like, okay, I'm not crazy.
That is the haunt of a person we call Mr. Grumpy Pants.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we managed to name him, actually he had been named a long time ago, there's a woman that lives across the street from the James house. She grew up there as a child. She would play in the house because after 1940 it was abandoned, everybody moved out. So they'd use it like their playhouse. She was very psychic when she was a child. Mr. Grumpy Pants used to live in that upstairs second back bedroom. And she said he would grunt at them, he would growl at them, tell them to go away. And oddly enough, after we had investigated maybe a couple of times, I had a dream. And I had a dream of a man in 18th century clothing. He had long black hair. He was wearing a long green waistcoat and black boots. And his hair, it was the right-hand side of his face. His hair kept falling in his face. So when I asked Allison if she could describe Mr. Grumpy Pants, she described the man I just dreamt about. And that was really good confirmation.
That is.
And she said, she tried to get his name. He didn't want to say what his name was. And he said that he liked being called Mr. Grumpy Pants. So I don't know who he was. I asked her if she felt that he was maybe a member of the family. And she said, no, it was like he was a visitor or something. And what I was getting was that maybe he was a tenant while that room wasn't being used as either a sick room or a bedroom, that they might have been cash strapped for a while. And I think they hired him on, as a renter.
Uh-huh.
But he was not the cheeriest person. And he didn't like children. So it's funny because that's where he likes to gravitate, either there or up in the attic.
Right, yeah.
And so you picked up on his energy without knowing anything about that, so that's incredible.
Yeah, I had no idea. Willie didn't tell me anything about it. Just came in and I was blinded. Whenever I came in, I was like, okay.
Did you feel pushed away almost by him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very territorial.
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that David just came. He was interested in doing something in the house, so he just came and met me there for a tour. And I, as he said, I didn't tell him anything, and he was quite impressed with the house. So.
Outstanding. What else did you pick up? How did you feel about the attic?
The attic, I felt there was, I felt there was something up there, but I couldn't pick up on it. And that night it was sort of quiet, except for that experience we had with it sounded like the recorder playing back, which was so weird. Because we were, if you remember, we were sitting there and it sounded, and we just started hearing voices, and it sounded like somebody's recorder was playing.
That's right.
But none of us.
That's right.
None of us. We all checked our recorders. They were just recording. They weren't playing.
Yep, they were playing.
Could have been
Who knows what
a residual,
that was?
maybe a mimicking of it. Because we were playing them earlier, trying to hear EVPs. Maybe it could have been something mimicking or I don't know.
could've
But
been,
it was
yeah.
strange. I've never had
That-
anything happen like that before.
That is odd. I've got to go back and watch that again because there were a lot of little things that happened throughout the night. Typically, when the first time I went there, I felt all kinds of children. So I think that, you know, TB was really prevalent at the time in the 1800s. So I think that a lot of children may have died there. There was that. There was Mr. Grumpy Pants, which I felt he hovered in the eaves. He has 2 hiding places. And the other thing was the work hand, Frank James. Not related to the family, but they had created sort of a half-finished room for him that he used as a workshop. So I picked up on him, but he doesn't always seem to be there. But he is an intelligent haunt because he does interact.
Right.
And then when you were there, well, Helena King was picking up on a lot of stuff that was being complemented by what we were finding. She, at the time, was living, it still is, living in the UK, and she was psychically picking up on the things that were going on at the James house. And she picked up on all the children of one of the descendants, and she was naming them. I had to go and check the records to check the names.
Right.
And the thing was, she said that there were 2 Elizabeths, and she couldn't figure it out. Why? Was it 2 Elizabeths or 2 Marys? One or the other.
I cannot. I think it was 2 Elizabeths.
I think it was Elizabeth.
I think it was Elizabeth.
And they had different last names. We'll come to find out those were their married names once they had married, but they were originally James, mother and daughter. So that was another really good hit that Elena brought up. And then wasn't there a young child that we kept picking up on that night?
Yeah,
female
I believe
child?
she did. I believe she picked up on it. I couldn't even tell you exactly everything going on. Yeah, I can't remember everything.
Yeah.
I can't even remember yesterday. I mean,
That's why
I know
I try
that
to take
feeling.
notes with each of our investigations. What about downstairs in the parlor room, the room on the right-hand side downstairs? Do you recall anything kind of remarkable from
not
being there?
really. Not at that night. Not that night. I mean, I really didn't pick up on anything there. I was more focused on Grumpy Pants. You know, that's who I was more focused on because I really felt a strong, you know, pull with him.
Yeah, I
Did you-
remember that room. That's where we started, and it was really quiet. So
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
going on.
It's like, and remember at that one point while we were up in the attic, I just got just vision popped in my head about somebody walking over to that corner and picking up a cartridge, like a shell casing box, like a big box.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was a guy and just went over there and picked it up, and that was it. I don't know why, it just hit me.
And the story that might be connected with that is, during the period of time that Willie and I started investigating there, they found some shell casings hidden up in the eaves. So they must have hidden some ammunition at some
Right.
point.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is. It's really good confirmation. Did you review the film where you found any anomalous photographs or stills?
I went through the
anything?
videos and stuff like that. I really didn't.
Nothing in particular
Yeah,
like that?
it really wasn't nothing really that would stand out. you
Yeah.
know. But you never know. I mean, we all know when you investigate places, it's like fishing. You throw out a line, you reel it in, you never know what you're
Truly.
going to get. It's a hit and miss. It could be
Yep.
slow that night. It could be active the next night. Ghosts don't have schedules, man.
That's right.
Yep, they
And they don't work on our schedule. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Exactly.
perform
Yes,
on
I totally
cue.
agree.
The other interesting thing too was somebody that I had never really felt myself was Benjamin James, the first owner, he and his wife, and Helena was picking up on him, and she confirmed his name and so forth, and she said that he loved the house, he loved what the association board members are doing to the house, and that one of the other points about that was we were wondering, especially one of the descendants that lives out in Kansas or Ohio, he wanted to know where the first owners were buried, and none of us have been able to find their graves. And it was actually Helena, Benjamin speaking through Helena, saying they were buried on the property. That was good confirmation, only because we couldn't find it in the records. But I have always felt that there are many graves on that property, and that he said that both he and his wife were buried there, and that I said, well, there are no markers, and she said, because they use wooden markers, that the stone memorial was not important to them, They just wanted their graves marked.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
So that was another good point that hasn't been completely verified, but it all fell into place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And-
She's good at what she does. She's definitely good.
Just very, very good, very accurate, very insightful.
Yeah. Remote viewing from over at the UK to
Remote
over here to the
viewing,
States.
yeah.
I mean,
Well,
she's
she's
awesome.
listening to. She was watching it live because it was
Yeah.
Facebook Live, and she also came up with 2 sets of grandparents of Benjamin James. So grandparents and great grandparents, and that was something I hadn't researched, so I had to get that confirmed. And she was spot on.
Yep.
So it was really
absolutely.
wonderful. She was connecting with them. But those were the highlights, I think. Can you think of anything else?
No, not really. I think that was pretty much the highlights of it.
Yeah, but it just depends on the night and the people who are gathered, because I think some of them, either they feel some kind of empathy with whomever's they're investigating, and or there's more energy to draw on
Right.
to manifest whatever it is they're going to do or communicate.
Right, yeah, exactly. And the spirits are going to pick out whoever they want to communicate with. They're going to
Truly.
pick out the energy that they, I mean, that's just like us humans. I mean,
Yep.
you're
Well,
going to
they are
become
humans, sort of.
Exactly,
They had
exactly,
been.
exactly.
Yeah, because
But,
they're people
yeah, you're going to connect with somebody that you feel comfortable around.
that you feel comfortable with.
And a lot of times that place is quiet.
Yep.
You don't get anything. But over the years, we've gotten a number of EVPs and stuff.
And
And
we was a good class
like you
A
mentioned,
EVP.
black mists on
Yeah,
photographs.
6 different occasions with the black mist.
Oh, wow, 6?
Yeah. Yeah, a little uncanny. We did try to clear the portals on the ground. There were 3 portals, and they kind of quieted things down for a while.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
but it's an interesting place. There's always something new coming through at the James house. Well, another place we wanted to ask you about, too, was a cemetery in Mississippi called Hell's Gate.
Gates, yeah, it's Gates of Hell.
Gates of Hell.
Gates of Hell. Yeah, it's actually, all right, it's in Satarsha, Mississippi, and it's actually just farmland out there. But the urban legend is behind it that it was like over 100 Indians, okay? And the Yazoo City River is right there. Over 100 Indians ended up committing suicide, jumping to their death in the Yazoo River and drowning. The reason is because the Union soldiers were trying to take over their land instead of, giving it to them. They just committed suicide, and that's the urban legend behind it. So, there's been stories over the years. It's been just burst of energy, real light anomalies, real orbs, not just dust orbs and all that junk. But real light anomalies over the Yazoo River, a whirlpool with green mist. Disembodied voices, screams, crying. Yeah, and it coming from the river. Well, we decided to investigate that. And we went out there, and it ended up being pretty intense. The first thing that happened, my daughter's nose just started bleeding. Just
That's right.
out of the blue, started bleeding. Then ended up, there were 2 old trees on the property. And there was a lot of stuff over the years, bad stuff that happened with those trees. And we were out there, man, and we just started getting K2 hits. This is the middle of nowhere. We're getting K2 hits. We're getting just all these EMF REM pod going off for no reason at all in the middle of nowhere, no electricity around.
Didn't you get a Native American couple at that session that showed up? Husband and wife?
I can't remember. Maybe it was somebody else that had that. I can't remember that. I just remember the very dramatic things.
Yeah, your daughter's nose bleeding was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I know. That was so crazy just out of the blue, and it was right after my thermal imaging camera. It was fully charged and just dead, just completely dead.
That's right. Your equipment went dead, and then Jamie said she felt somebody tugging on the back of her T-shirt.
Yeah,
and it was all about the same time.
Right. Yeah. It was all about in that same time. 'Cause we were only out there for I think an hour. I was over by the wood line. I was trying to get to Gates of Hell. I was trying to actually see the water, but the water was so high. But I got close enough to it, and me and another investigator, we heard a woman crying, sobbing real loud,
Really?
and it was coming from the river. So that was confirmation that the stories are real, completely accurate. But that place was intense.
So there's actually no cemeteries and no gravestones on the land.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
basically that the urban legend that it was the Indians committing suicide.
That's horrible. That's
I
just
know.
horrific.
I know it is. It definitely, but it was. I mean, you felt the energy out there, how it was just horrible. I mean, it was just dreadful, you know. And I think Walt Grayson, one of my good friends, news reporter down south in Mississippi, he's went out there before. It was way before I did, and he's went out there, and his camera batteries, he had the big cameras, and it just drained, just drained. He said one time he went out there, and his camera got fried. He had to buy a new camera. He told me, he was like, I'm not going back out there, David.
Too
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Too expensive. Yeah, I won't go back to that cemetery either. I mean, some of these places can affect you like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, speaking of equipment like that, to go back to the James house for a minute, one day, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was all the same day, I had 2 almost brand new recorders that just died. I mean, not battery drained, they just died.
They just went out.
I had to replace
Fried.
them.
Yeah.
2 in one day.
Yep, it happens. It happens. I've had to do that. One of my recorders did that years ago.
Yeah.
Brand new. Used it like 3 times and gone.
And it was ruined?
Oh yeah, it was fried.
Yeah.
Wouldn't cut back on nothing.
Yeah, that's what mine did,
Yep.
and I had to buy new ones.
So wasn't it Wayne who said, I don't like the feeling here, we gotta go.
Oh, yeah,
Get
my
out of
dad.
here. Yeah, your dad, Wayne.
Yeah.
And then
it's
you left.
very rare, very out of character for him to do something like that. But he was sweating. He was like,
That's
man,
right,
we got to
he
go.
was Really perspiring.
Yeah, it freaked him out. I mean, it's hot down there, but he was really sweating.
Yeah, and the temperature kept varying quite a bit
Oh, yeah.
too, didn't it?
Yep, sure did. Up and down, up and down. That's what the thermal imaging camera was saying. So, hey,
Do you suppose people had been hung in the trees?
yeah, I believe so.
Lynching
I
or
believe so.
whatnot?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, that place is just horrible. It's horrible. Actually, I did some research on it, and yeah, that did happen. So,
So what did they do, just jump in the river? Was it a really deep, fast-moving river?
yeah, the Yazoo River. Yeah, it is.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the Mississippi, but yeah, that current could suck you under real quick.
Oh my gosh, there's 100 of them.
That's what the urban legend was saying.
So was it like their reservation land that the Union soldiers
Oh, yes.
wanted?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh,
Yep.
okay. Then why don't we talk about the Black Swan in Tilton, New Hampshire?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Black Swan Inn. That's in Tilton, yeah. That place is beautiful. It is amazing. We had an event. Actually, it was October 30th of this year. We had an event, and I was like, I got a hold of the owners. The owners are amazing people. They are, so, hospitable.
owners?
They are awesome. And they are, and they were like, yeah, you can hold an event here. Yeah, that's fine. And
Were you kind of like the first?
no.
No? Oh, okay.
No. It's been investigators out there, and it's not. I mean, it's not like it's out there. Oh yeah, it's really haunted. It's extremely haunted. No, if there are spirits there, they are good spirits. They are just want to be acknowledged.
Is it
I mean,
kind of
it's
a-
nothing, and I wouldn't even label it as haunted, because we had some cool experiences. We had some cool experiences there, and of course, being a paranormal investigator, you hear a knock, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I like it, but you're not gonna call it paranormal.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would usually, locations like McNutt House, I would say, yeah, it's haunted, but they're good spirits. But Black Swan, it was definitely interesting. We had that event there, and we only had like maybe 6 tickets sold. The day of the event, next thing you know, we maxed out at 40 people. People just started showing up at the door, And
Amazing.
it was, like I said, it was interesting. That was actually mine and Kirsten's event that night. We just started off, hit all the lights out, started asking questions. 15 minutes into it, we started getting activity. Asked to knock on something, knocked twice. Pow, pow, knocked twice. Could you do this? Could you, set the meters off? They would set off. For no reason at all. The REM pods started going off, and those are hard to set off. We all sat in a circle in the piano room, And we were just asking questions. Next thing you know, over there in the the main living room area, it just starts going off. There was a piano there.
Did that start playing?
We asked, could you play the piano? Next thing you know, and nobody's over there. Ding.
One note?
Yeah, just one note. So it was cool. It was definitely interesting.
What's the history of the place?
I don't know. I like to go in places blind, like what Willie said.
Yeah, I thought maybe in retrospect after the investigation you might have checked that out, but
Just Google Black Swan Inn in
Yeah.
Tilton, New Hampshire, and it's a bed and breakfast too as well. The breakfast is amazing. They do a great job. Great job.
check it out.
And I mean, one of the rooms there is a Peabody room. That's a real great location. That's where I usually stay at, is in the Peabody room. But I don't know. I mean, we've had some cool stuff happen.
were you able to identify anybody? Did anyone did you get any names? Did anybody get an EVP? that
Actually, Helena actually did a live feed.
oh, she did?
Yeah, a live feed. We put it on the fireplace,
Okay.
and she remote viewed from over there, and she was picking up everything. And she was picking up on all the stuff, and the owners were there, like, oh wow, yeah, that's so, that's this. So I mean, I know she did it for an hour. It was just so much to absorb, but
Yeah.
she was hitting the nail on the head. And after that, we were getting some more, activity. But I mean, like I said, the place, I love it. I mean, after I went up, every time I go there, I go up there after I don't investigate all the time. I just go out there and hang out because
Yeah.
the place is amazing.
Yeah.
And I go up there and sleep like a baby, But
They
it
let you
was
sleep.
it was definitely a cool event. It was definitely interesting.
So was that done like live streaming? Did
Yes.
oh, good.
Yeah, that was done live stream on
So
Facebook.
it's still on the internet?
Yes, it's on my Facebook page.
Good. Yeah, I'd like to check that out too, especially to see what Helena has to say about the place.
Right, yeah.
Was it an old colonial?
Yes, I believe it is. I believe it, yeah, it is. It's definitely an older home.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know if it was on the, the,
National,
no, but the railroad, the slaves.
Yeah, Underground Railroad.
Underground, there we go,
I don't
Underground
know. I
Railroad.
don't think it, I don't
That
think
wasn't
it was.
mentioned?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I have a
Like I
feeling
said,
that it might have been.
yeah,
I'll have to check that out too. Interesting.
yeah. It is. It's definitely an older home, definitely.
Okay.
But and it's so cool. It's so cool because last time I was there, as soon as I pulled up and they got like a river right there, and it's like as soon as I pull up, there are fireworks going off. The city's setting off fireworks right there in front of the place, and it started snowing. I sat on the front porch, watched the fireworks. It's a great
Wow.
location. It's right there downtown Tilton.
Middle of nowhere, but a pretty little place.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there aren't too many major metropolises nearby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Anything else did you remember anything else you might have captured there?
I mean, but we actually called it EVP.
Okay.
Called it EVP, and it actually brought up one of the guys' name. I think his name was Abraham, and he supposedly is one of the spirits that resides at the location. And I think, I mean, Kirsten picked up a Class A EVP. I mean, she just turned it on, and as soon as she turned it on, she said, who's here with us? And then a female said, get Abraham. Yeah, Class A EVP. And she was up there with her mom. It was just them two. And
That's super.
I mean, she got a real good find.
I saw that you were on or did some work with finding Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So what kind of experience do you have with cryptids at all, if any?
I really don't dig deep into it, but I have been on hunts. I have been out there before, just to experience it.
Yeah.
It was actually one of my episodes that was featured this year. It was on Discovery Plus. It's called Strange Evidence. And,
Yes, I was going to ask you
yeah,
about that
Strange
too.
Evidence. And
Was that a big Finding Bigfoot episode?
no. This right here was actually one of my stories that my eyewitness account in Vicksburg, Mississippi again, that I thought I saw something. I never said it was Bigfoot, but I thought I saw something. There are bears there, but they're very few. But I went to an abandoned playground. It was haunted, you know, supposedly. It was built in the 50s and they ended up shutting down because of all the drugs and murders and stuff that happened there. But I was down there, it was the middle of the day, and I'm sitting here snapping photos, you know, being my photographer self, and I heard a rustle in the woods to the right of me. I look over, and it was, oh, bro, man, it was probably about 60 yards away or something like that, 50. But something stood up, reddish brown coat, and jetted off down the hill. I sat there and I froze. I'm like,
What the heck?
yeah,
is
what
that?
just happened? Turned around, I left. And, you know, and I started thinking, what did I see? So one of my friends, Teresa Sable, she's also a news reporter in Jackson. Dark Horse Press, yeah, that's her new thing. And she did a story about my eyewitness account, and it was pretty cool because it made it to South Korea, I think, in 3 days. It was pretty, wasn't expecting that. Then Peyton got a hold of me. Peyton actually, he went to the church right next to the abandoned playground. A year later, on the date, he sees a footprint right outside the church. He chased me down. I'm driving on the road, and he chased me down. He saw my logo truck out, and I pulled over, and he was telling me about this and that. And I was like, well, did you get a cast? He said, yep. And he pulled it up and showed me. I was like, oh, okay. Let's look into this a little bit deeper, you know. And that's, we went out there and we looked around, and I saw it. And that's whenever Finding Bigfoot got a hold of us. And they did like an episode in Jackson, Mississippi. They got like a community town hall. Everybody's get together, everybody's stories, and we happened to be there, and you know, told our story to them and showed the cast and this and that. But
You got the definite feeling when you experienced this that it wasn't a bear then, right? Too big for a bear?
I still don't know. I don't know what it was. I have no idea what it was to this day.
But you don't think it was a bear, right?
I don't think so. Not the way it moved on hind legs. I don't think it was. I really don't.
Hind legs.
Yeah, I mean, because bears, they walk on hind legs to actually make themselves fit in with humans.
But not very far, right? It's usually a scare tactic, and
right. And I mean, they'll walk on hind legs in neighborhoods just to get the trash. I guess they think humans won't notice they're not bears.
But if we stand up, nobody will notice us.
Exactly.
Did anything else surface regarding strange evidence?
With the strange evidence episode, they actually came down and the main focus on strange evidence, that episode, was the skunk ape.
The skunk ape?
The skunk ape.
And where were they filming?
Well, they filmed in Vicksburg, where the experiences and stuff was, and there was a video out there about the skunk ape, and they had us come in and tell them our experiences, and you know, us being with our experiences, and we started, you know, doing research on it. They wanted us to actually try to confirm if it would be a skunk ape, if it would be a primate, which it was, definitely was. The video that we saw, that they focused around, was a primate. And see, you think about it, like back at the Honey Island Swamp Monster down South Louisiana, okay, that story, it's pretty big down there. It's close to, I think it's close to New Orleans. Well, back I think in the 40s or 30s, there was a big train wreck and it had a lot of zoo animals on it. Oh. They didn't recover all the animals. People were seeing monkeys in trees and stuff.
Wow.
Why couldn't they evolve and get used to the natural, you know, the habitat and stuff down in that area? And they could look a lot different, you know, because it's a lot different feeding habits. Mm-hmm. Hey, you never know. So.
Well, the skunk ape, they usually do hang around swamps, and right not in Mississippi's right next door to Louisiana, and you've got them in Louisiana, so it does make sense. That, do you think there'd be a combination of like the typical Bigfoot and a swamp ape? Their territories don't cross, I would think.
I think it's a totally different primate. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a totally different primate. Yeah. I mean, I've had people come up to me and tell me they had experiences with a creature, they call it, could be a Bigfoot, but it was real tall, slender, look, you know, not really that nourished, and it was like
almost looked human, maybe?
Right, and it had hair all over it, and it was like a darker, like almost a black, like a brown, but I've had two people tell me about that, and they didn't even know each other. So I was like, oh, well.
Yep, and sometimes you get red-haired ones, and the skunk ape is supposedly stinks all the time.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. That is true.
We're almost out of time. We got just about 2 minutes left.
Cool.
Okay, well, let me fire this at you. What was the most disturbing investigation that you experienced?
Probably the Keaton Hospital.
I was just going to say,
I
how could you beat that?
How can you top that? You're absolutely
that
right.
was the worst investigation over the past 6 months to a year that I've ever
I
had.
mean, considering
it was
that
horrible.
it almost made you lose your mind and jump.
Yes.
That's very serious.
Yeah, I lost everything just because of the stuff that happened.
Quickly, you got a couple of things coming up that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got the USS Salem
Oh,
Para
yep.
Expo.
Yep.
It's the
That's
con.
in
Para
May.
Expo 2022.
Yep, that's
Cool.
it. That's it, and that's on Facebook.
And you're going to be speaking there?
Yes.
Wonderful.
That's going to be a great event. It's a fundraiser,
That'll be
so
fun.
it's a great cause.
Yep.
And I definitely would, definitely going to enjoy it. It's a fundraiser. I mean,
Yeah, why not, you know?
It's being produced by Spirit Chasers Paranormal. That's us.
yeah.
Well, yeah, we're
and
involved.
the
Yeah,
and the
okay.
Connecticut Paranormal Research Team.
Right,
And
yep.
100% of the proceeds are going to the ship. It's the Salem is part of the United States Naval Shipbuilding Museum.
Right, yeah.
And you got another one. you want to mention?
Actually, Chris Sanders, founder of It's Haunted Crew, which I'm a part of now.
Good.
He ended up getting a convention down in Sleepy Hollow, New York. It's called Sleepy Hollow Paracon. It's on Facebook. It's going to be a
very
fun.
cool.
It's a lot of great guest speakers there. Some great paranormal investigators. That's definitely going to be a fun one as well.
Oh,
and,
I bet.
And also we have a new vodcast coming up. Chris
Oh, yeah,
Sanders
tell
and
us
I.
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, Chris Sanders and I of His Haunted Crew.
And that is vodcast, not
Yeah,
podcast.
he's founder. He's founder of It's Haunted Crew, and luckily he liked me enough to let me join as an investigator. Thank goodness.
Fun.
But yeah, we're starting a vodcast. We're starting
And what's it going to be called?
It's Haunted Vodcast.
It's Haunted
Yeah, it's on
Vodcast.
Facebook. It's a group page on Facebook as well. It's going to be pretty cool. We're going to have some cool names come out there. It's going
Oh, I
to be
bet.
sort of different. It's going to be on the same line as all
I mean,
these
you're
others.
connected, so we're going to expect great things from you.
That's
That would
right.
be nice.
So
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
I guess that just about wraps up the show. We're out of time. So David, we want to thank you very much for joining us here on Edge of Reality TV.
That was a
And-
lot of fun. We want a repeat performance. We'd love to have you back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, good impression.
Absolutely.
Yes. I'm hard to do that sometimes. I'm hard to give a good impression.
We will be back next month. Next month we have Don DeCristofaro from the Greater Boston Paranormal Associates. We're going to hear a lot more about the USS Salem
Right,
on that
he's
one.
very familiar with that, so
Nice.
So,
good.
thank you,
Well,
David.
welcome. Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
And we will talk to you again next month.
Bye-bye.